No Ordinary Nerd.
Hey guys, this is Callie and
Chris
from No Ordinary Nerd. We're here to do a Get Out review. What was your favorite thing about the movie?
My favorite thing about Get Out was its unpredictability. I saw the previews and I went into this movie going like, this is going to be very cliche. I thought that honestly they were going to kidnap a bunch of black people in the suburbs, take them and make them slaves and work on these big, they had big plot land. So I was like, oh, very predictable. And they were acting really strange on top of that. So I was like, okay, let's see how this builds. And then towards the end, I was like, it kept me on edge because it just kept going a different direction. And it was very eye-opening. It was a great experience and not as cliche as I thought it was. It was a fantastic movie and I would totally recommend it.
It was super original actually. I was so shocked. I went in with pretty high expectations and I came out blown away. I just thought it was it's so new. It's Jordan Peele's first movie that he wrote and directed it. Was there anything that you didn't like?
The only thing, and you totally corrected me on this 10 minutes ago.
You can say it and I'll give my piece.
At the end of the movie, you could see her look up her next victim, and she was looking up these star NCAA players. And I was like, what are you doing? You're going to kidnap people that are in the limelight, they're so popular, and you're taking people that they'll obviously notice they're gone. And then this happens.
Their bodies are still there. So, I mean, their mind is gone. I mean, I guess if they, started asking them questions where did you grow up?
Right.
They may not know.
Yeah, they...
But, I mean, their physical body would be there, and they're like, no, we're here, and we're happy, and, so, even though they're, they could go missing, because even Andre, he was missing, and then Chris found him, but then it's he's like, no, I'm happy, I'm married to this
Definitely.
old white lady, it's fine.
You're brainwashed.
It's brain takeover, brain control.
Brain control.
/ hypnosis.
It's pretty deep.
It's incredibly deep.
It makes you wonder if they could actually do something like this or not.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Not quite.
Put on your tinfoil hats. But,
this was the biggest surprise for me of the movie because if you watch the trailer, you go into it and you're like, okay, this is going to be about racism. Obviously, it's about white people in the South, so obviously there's going to be a negative connotation to it. But when you get to the end of the movie, you realize that they actually are choosing African Americans because of their genetic
makeup
and their genetic they're better than.
Oh right, the main character, he has a really good eye for photography.
So basically, what happens is some of these old people are getting older and losing their vision or can't walk anymore, can't breathe on their own without the oxygen masks. Mm-hmm. So they do an auction basically. The girl comes or she finds
a boyfriend.
A boyfriend who she pretends to love and makes them fall in love with her. And then she brings him home and there's a big party with all of the parents
family
friends.
Get together.
Yeah, all of their closest friends, and then they have an auction and whoever wins the auction buys the boyfriend.
Yeah,
or
girlfriend. I mean, there's even
that's true. There's
female,
a girl. Yeah, that's
so true. It's interesting because I thought that these people were, like I said originally, going to be auctioned off as slaves, pretty much as workers. I thought they were going to be labor workers because they were all big people. Mm-hmm. So when I found out that these guys coming in were just pretty much checking them out to see what they have, what special abilities they have, thought it was interesting that they wanted to become more like them instead of...
Well, they literally want to be them.
They're
literally going to take over their body and control the body.
And so what the girlfriend's mom does, she's a psychiatrist and she specializes in hypnosis. And she would take these boyfriends or girlfriend and take them into a deep place in their mind where they cannot... The sunken place.
Which had amazing visual effects.
Yeah, it was pretty trippy. I mean, it felt... I could feel how alone he was, just in the space, just floating, and you can't do anything about it, but you can see everything happening, which is scary. And you're being controlled by a piece of the mind from the host goes into the person you bought, and you therefore control them. That's your new body.
Yeah.
So I thought that was awesome. I did not expect
original.
that.
Yeah.
Very original, breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
if they make more movies like this, I would definitely watch them.
Totally.
I don't know how they would do it, but...
Well, I mean, it's mostly just, like, introducing such a real view of a social issue, because this movie takes racism and it really shows, like, the pure, like, unfiltered form of how it actually happens in life.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's all these, like, subtle comments, like, oh, do you play golf? Oh, like, maybe once or twice. Oh, well, I know Tiger.
Yeah.
Like, even though it's, like, he's trying to...
Trying too hard.
He's
like,
trying to...
I wouldn't vote for Obama for a third
He's
term.
trying to connect to him.
Yeah.
He's trying to connect to Chris, the African-American, and he... but he's, like, instead of just treating Chris like a normal person, he's pointing out the fact that he is black.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. Like, people, even if people aren't quote-unquote racist, like, they don't dislike the race or, you know, whatever, they still see it.
It brought the stereotype in, and then it squashed it with
Yeah.
the whole like premise of wanting to be them, and then it's not. Speaking of which, it's not all horror. It's very
It's really
comedic
not. Yeah.
with his friend coming in and making everything mellow.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Brought reality in, you know. So I would love to see more movies horror comedy like that be made, because
it's really fluid too.
It
like
was.
It goes from horror to thriller to psychological thriller, and then to comedy, and it's like it flows so well.
yes, it was not distracting at all.
Yeah.
Because when I found out it was comedy, I'm like, how's that gonna work?
The other thing I just have to add is how awesome the actors were.
Yes, the supporting cast was fantastic.
They're like a little bit well known. Daniel Kaluuya was in Skins, and he was also in Sicario, which I haven't seen.
Oh yeah, that movie's great.
Um,
Yes.
And he was in an episode of Black Mirror, which is like very similar to the kind of like weird, twisted, like social view concepts of that Jordan Peele did. So I think that's really interesting that he chose him to be in this movie. And then Allison Williams too. She even says she's like, Jordan picked the whitest white girl to play this part.
She was awesome.
She was awesome.
I
She did
was
so
impressed.
good. I had no idea.
Okay. Awesome.
I mean until she couldn't find her keys, then that's the moment I was like,
that was the scary part.
that
Yes,
was
that was the
my
tricky
whole
point.
body hurt during that part, because I just like felt for him so much. Like
He was
I
like,
just wanted him to get out of there.
Yeah, I could feel the tension. Like you're on the edge of your seat the whole time.
Yeah.
Like you know what's happening, but what do? You know, you can see him yelling at her, like,
Yeah.
because he's like, "Where are the keys at?" And it's tension, you know.
You know I can't give you the keys.
Yeah. Oh boy, so good.
So how would you recommend?
I would recommend this to anyone that loves horror or even doesn't even like horror.
Anyone
This
that's
is not scary.
Yeah, anyone-
Not bloody.
Well, a little bit.
A little
But
bloody.
at the very, very end.
Come
very
on,
end.
yeah.
But it's also, I think it's a really important movie. It's gonna change the genre of just movies in general, and
Yes.
I think it's gonna
It's
push
just a
people to
good
use more
movie.
like social issues into movies, which is really important, especially right now.
Yeah, it's modern, definitely with the
Mhm.
times, and it's eye-opening and refreshing.
Yeah. So that's our review on Get Out. Next week we're going to be reviewing Beauty and the Beast, which will be really interesting.
I can't
Super
wait.
excited.
Can't wait.
Mostly for the main character.
Miss Emma Watson, how you doing?
But yeah, subscribe. YouTube. We have Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch. Pretty much anything. Pretty much anything and everything. We have it. So find us.